Thank you everyone for joining and welcome to our webinar for Cleo Harmony, VLTrader and LexiCom. Today we're going to be covering a variety of topics, including what is coming out with our upcoming release of version 5.8.1. Just before we look at the agenda, a little bit of housekeeping and some quick intros at the top. My name is Dylan Lee, and I'm the Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Cleo. And today we brought our experts in our private cloud data movement set, which includes Cleo Harmony, VLTrader, and LexiCom, to join us and answer any questions that you have. On the panel today, we have Dave Brunswick, our Senior Vice President of Products, John Thielens, our Chief Technology Officer, Ankit Jain, the Senior Director of Product Management, and Brian Jordan, the Principal Product Manager in charge of our Harmony, VLTrader, and LexiCom products. So with that said, let's cover a little bit of housekeeping at the top. Folks, when everyone here that's joined as an attendee is in broadcast mode, meaning your lines are muted. You will not be able to come off mute to ask questions directly. However, we do encourage everyone to participate and add your questions into the Q&A section of the Zoom. You will find that at the bottom of the meeting in the meeting controls. Now, with so many folks joining, we have well over 100 attendees already. Just as we're kicking things off, we may not have a chance to answer every question that comes in. If you want your question to be handled by the products organization following the webinar, we usually try to follow up with everyone within about a week or so with a written response. But for us to know who you are, you can't submit a question anonymously. So if you want us to make sure that your question does get covered, I'd encourage you to submit that with an ID that we can recognize. Just so everyone is aware, this webinar is being recorded. Now, if you've registered or are attending, we will share a recording of the webinar with you in the coming weeks. So without further ado, let's jump in. Continuing with our housekeeping, Cleo Customer Summits are back. This is an invitation to everyone that's joining us today. Our next two customer summits for Cleo Connect are happening in April, on April 15th and 16th for logistics. And then in May, on May 19th and 20th for manufacturing. We are hosting both of these events in Chicago at the O'Hare Hyatt Regency. And these are always some pretty action-packed days, including a welcome reception, special event, kind of fun things outside of the event as well. But in the event, you'll get to hear from our CEO, Mahesh. You're going to see some live product demonstrations. You'll experience roadmap presentations, customer panels, and just endless opportunities to network with fellow Cleo customers and peers within your industry. So if you want to learn more about this, we do have our registration pages on Cleo.com, or you can touch base with your customer success representative. Okay, one other just announcement at the top here, in case you missed it. We put this out in the news about a month ago, but DataTran Solutions is now part of Cleo, and this brings in a couple new product offerings around procurement and fulfillment automation with both a supplier portal and a fulfillment portal. The supplier portal will allow a large procurement hub to automate business that they do with non-EDI capable suppliers, and the fulfillment portal allows suppliers to connect to those retailers, handle label printing, but also any number of EDI response documents back to their most important customers. So again, I will give you guys a prompt and at the end of the session today and tell you how you can learn more about these solutions if you are interested. And so here's a quick intro to our agenda. So we're going to begin with the new normal, which is a look at kind of the current state of data security and product. We're going to have a detailed look at the upcoming 5.8.1 version release for Harmony, VLTrader, and LexiCom. We'll give you a look ahead. What is our 3 to 5 year vision for our product, for our Harmony, LexiCom, and VLTrader products? And then we will dedicate the majority of today's session to open Q&A. So again, if you did join after the initial housekeeping, please look for the Q&A section in the webinar controls at the bottom to submit your questions. And then finally, at the end, we'll spend maybe 2, 3 minutes at the very end of the call talking to you about a special promotion, a beta program available for our Harmony customers, and a couple other things for you to think about as it comes to your relationship and evolution with Cleo. So with that, I'm going to invite Mr. Dave Brunswick, our SVP of Products, to walk us through the new normal. So Dave?
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. So let's talk about the new normal in security and what's happening around the internet in terms of threats and responses that we need to make to those threats. So we talk about the new normal in security because it's going to change the behavior that people need to think about when they're implementing software in their environments. So yeah, the first part of this is we're seeing an increase in these threat actors, the malicious parties, cyber criminals, and the activity continues to increase week over week, month over month, year over year, and more we're seeing attacks on systems across the board on all sorts of systems there. And then that is focused on finding exploits in systems and software, particularly targeting unpatched systems, whether that's the operating systems, whether it's component systems, or installed software itself. And then as part of the reaction to that, and also an understanding of that threat environment, we're seeing more and more strategic importance in security as a whole. So increasingly, it's a top priority for a lot of our customers, and they need to be our customers and Cleo together need to respond to those threats in the most appropriate way. So what does that really mean? So for Cleo as an organization, it means that we're constantly looking at how we can strengthen, if you want to just click, Dylan, how we can strengthen our security posture to be much as proactive as possible in the detection and response to potential threats to the platform, whether it's on our products or associated with the operating systems that are installed on and other components around them. So we're embracing that approach. We're looking at constantly applying the best security practices to make sure that we are keeping ahead of any threats or potential vulnerabilities we see coming from this increased activity of threat actors. So what does that mean for our customers? And you will have observed this over the last 3 or 4 months. Expect a more frequent patching cycle. As we see more and more activity, the rise in threat actor attempts, we're looking to stay ahead of that and keep you ahead of those potential vulnerabilities by updating the software as proactively as possible. So our ask of our customers here is really to not just with our software, but with the operating system, stay up to date, look for those patches, apply them when they come out. They may be addressing, and we will continue to look to address those potential vulnerabilities that we see, and you can help by staying ahead of that patching cycle and also making sure that your operating systems are up to date and that you look to the Cleo website for our best practices in deploying the software securely in your own environment. So with that kind of environment, we together can stay ahead of this increased activity and rise in exploits. So Dylan, you're going to talk through
Yeah,
this one.
absolutely. So one of the things that we've done from an experience perspective within our Clio Solution Center is really redesigning the way in which we publish release notes for Cleo Harmony specifically is what we're looking at here. So there is a release index, and we generally have 2 different types of releases. One is general, meaning the release is available to all customers, and then the other kind is limited. This would be a targeted release where a subset of capabilities or enhancements are made available only to a select number of customers. But I think the real focal point for most folks on this call is going to be the general releases. So we have 3 types of general releases. One would be a major release. So for example, 5.8.0, when that first came out, was a major update for all of our Versalex products with Cleo Harmony, Cleo VLTrader, and Cleo LexiCom. The next one is going to be a recommended update. Recommended updates tend to be smaller patches. It's those incremental numbers that come up after a major release. However, as Dave just alluded to, often recommended updates include, feature enhancements, bug fixes, as well as security strengthening aspects as well. So, as a best practice, it is a customer responsibility to ensure that you guys are getting onto the latest version of your product as soon as possible once that patch is made available. The final one is a critical. This really means it's urgent, it's immediate, and we're going to do what we have done if in the past is if anything is critical, such as a known vulnerability in the wild, would be to update our customers immediately around the need to patch. And I'm going to ask Brian to come in and talk about what is upcoming with the newest version of Cleo Harmony, VLTrader, and LexiCom.
Got it. Thanks, Dylan. So yeah, I'm going to give a high-level overview of some of the real key innovations that are going to be coming out in 5.8.1. This isn't necessarily an exhaustive list. There are a lot of fixes and roll-ups of previous versions involved in this patch, but we're going to take an overview of some of the bigger items coming out. So to start off with, we have support for FIPS 140-3 compliance. This is a really important because a lot of our customers and standards are moving that direction. So we wanted to make sure that we got out in time to properly support this. This is going to be really critical from a security perspective. One thing to kind of note in here is that it will be deprecating some of the older cryptographic standards like SHA-1 and 3DES. Those won't be supported anymore. So there will be release notes for this that will kind of detail out all of those things, but it's just something to keep in mind as you're looking to upgrade. So also we've got support for CIDX and RNF hosts. We've made some enhancements to the wildcard searching for get and lcopy. Those can be wildcard searches in general can be a little bit cumbersome and slow. We've made some pretty significant improvements in that area, so hopefully we should see a good boost in performance for those types of searches. Another big item that we've added is SAML support for the admin web UI. This is obviously for Harmony and VLTrader. You'll be able to connect single sign-on with any of your major, identity providers like Okta or Azure AD, things like that. So that will be available as well. Moving on to some of the security enhancements. Obviously, as Dave talked about earlier, security is kind of paramount for us. So we made a lot of security enhancements. We have a number of security patches that are rolled up into this release. There can be more details on those in the release notes. We're adding support for some more modern protocols like algorithms like SHA-256 and 512 in our OFTP and RNAF protocols. We also are upgrading to the latest IBM JRE support, so we can kind of keep in more of the modern era in terms of compatibility, stability, security. It's very important to kind of keep that up to date. And then support for some of the, more modern RSA algorithms. So moving on to connectors, we have a number of new really great enhancements in here. We have a new Splunk connector. So this is for Harmony, and it's going to support tying in our logs to Splunk, so you can kind of pull those into your environment and do any of those real-time, enhanced monitoring, data tracking, things like that. So that's going to be a really powerful enhancement for customers who use Splunk. We have some new REST APIs coming for the listener and services. So there'd be a lot more ability to kind of configure and customize some of your configurations. There will be details available for that one on the developer.cleo.com website, and also they'll have some notes in that for the release notes as well. Finally, on connectors, we enhanced our FTP and SFTP connector. So they will be able to check if there are which available signature algorithms are in use, and it will default now to 256 when it's available, or say SHA-2 256 when it's available. So a nice improvement for the FTP connectors. All right, and then kind of bringing it home with some of the platform support. We've kind of we're fully supporting Windows system event logging again. This allows us users to track errors, warnings, system events, things like that directly in the event log. So you'll be able to improve the troubleshooting and security monitoring, things like that. We're enabling support for Linux on LexiCom. It's been reinstated and just trying to ensure that we can continue to provide security updates and feature updates for that on that platform. One big important thing here with some of the other updates, and particularly JRE8, we're going to be able to fully officially support Windows 2022 Server again, which is a really good improvement. Also adding support for Rocky Linux, which will replace CentOS. CentOS hit end of life last year, so most people are moving away from it and onto Rocky Linux, so we'll be supporting that. And then another really critical one here at the end, AS400 V7 R5 support for Windows 11 on LexiCom. It will now LexiCom will now include the AS4 400 install share directory settings, so you won't need like the extra Windows 7 machine that sometimes some of our customers need to set this up. So yeah, I went through that pretty quickly, but if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the Q&A, and I'll pass it back to you, Dylan.
All right, thanks, Brian. And folks, just to note that what Brian just walked through, there is a legend at the bottom so that you can see what is available for Harmony, what's available for only LexiCom, and what is available for Harmony and VLTrader. So when we do distribute this, depending on which of our Cleo products you're using, this will help you align some of those capabilities enhancements to your product. So Brian, thank you. Appreciate that update. All right, now I'm going to pass it over to Ankit Jain, our head of product management, to walk through the product vision for Harmony, VLTrader, and LexiCom for the next few years. So Ankit.
Thank you, Dylan. As you heard from Dylan and Dave, I mean, we are going to constantly bring minor releases as we see fit. There are going to be incremental enhancements that are going to be kind of released. But we think from a big picture point of view, what we really want to bring to the table, the first one is we are going to talk about containerization of the Harmony, okay? This will really help with your CI/CD pipeline automation. For our Harmony customers, it will include one cluster licensing. You'll be able to access it from the Docker Hub. The configuration management will be included. The licensing would be much simplified. You can bring your own elk for the logging perspective. So really simplifying the whole automation aspect. We are thinking in the short term, next 3 to 6 months, this would be made available. But the mid to long term, what we are thinking about is to start thinking of the hybrid cloud, okay? And when I talk about hybrid cloud, what it really means in this case is we want you to keep using your existing infrastructure as is, but improve the overall visibility, okay? So think of Harmony, VLTrader or Harmony as an agent that is kind of where you don't have to think about any kind of migration or any of that aspect, and you keep it as is, but you get the cloud level visibility. So that way, the part remains easier for you to maintain and manage, but it is very critical to get the entire visibility of what's happening with your movement activities. So that's something we're kind of constantly thinking about, and we have some initial proposal of what we can do in this area. And the second piece we are thinking from a midterm point of view is to provide you the ability to integrate any of the events and any of those things that are getting generated from those systems to be integrated into your own notification system. So that's something we are thinking about, bringing a way to kind of integrate instead of just getting the emails. As the way we work is constantly changing, we need this data to be available maybe in your Slack, in your MS Teams, and many other ways, right? So we are thinking about creating, let's say, webhook or any of those things as part of this thing. to bring your own notification system so that you can modernize your MFT. Okay. And as we are seeing more and more AI being the forefront of how things are being considered, we are really thinking from a long-term strategy to bring AI into the forefront of how all of those things from a productivity gain perspective, from an onboarding perspective, how you can do anomaly detection, and every those things will be from an AI driven point of view. So we are really starting to think long term that the MFT is no longer a human driven kind of thing, but the AI can act as a co-pilot for all the activities that are going to happen. So that's our kind of a long-term goal and kind of vision of how we want to bring in and improve the overall MFT aspect of it. But if you look from a short-term perspective, we're going to release containerized Harmony in next 3 to 6 months. We'll have the hybrid cloud kind of model that is going to come in, and then long term, we're going to start bringing the AI capabilities into the whole mix. So that's kind of our plan from a short, mid, and long term. That's pretty much it, what I wanted to cover here, Dylan.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ankit. And thanks to everybody else that walked through the updates and the upcoming release. So now, as promised, folks, we're going to spend approximately the next 30 to 35 minutes on open Q&A. Just to go back to what I was saying at the top, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom controls, and make sure that if you want if you want your question to be guaranteed to be answered, please let us know who you are. So if we don't have time to cover it on the call, we will follow up with you in about a week after the webinar. So with that said, let's jump into Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see the Brady Bunch here, and we will start to take some of these questions live. All right. Looks like we got a really good one at the top from Balaji. And he is asking, we are considering upgrading from VLTrader to Harmony and would like to know the best approach to do this without disrupting our existing environment. Could you please provide guidance on the steps involved in any precautions we should take to ensure a smooth transition? Well, we brought the right folks to the call today to answer. So I'll let one of these guys volunteer. So who wants to take this one?
I can take that one, Dylan.
Perfect.
So we can certainly help you through that with the support and our services team. The kind of net is that the configuration from VLTrader is 100% compatible with Harmony. So there's a pretty straightforward way of importing or upgrading from VLTrader to Harmony. The things to think about in that process are, if you're going to change to a new server to support it, just how you manage the switch over. But it's a process we've been through with a lot of customers, so we can certainly help you through with that.
All right, great. Thanks, Dave. And then we have one from Jenna, and I think Ankit or Brian. I'll let you guys answer this as diplomatically as possible. So what is the estimated timeline on the midterm roadmap, specifically with the integration notification systems?
Right. So I think as Dave alluded in the beginning of the call, we do major releases in 12 to 18 months time frame, right? When I say short term, our goal is in the next 3 to 6 months, we will have the harmonized container available. And if you just fast follow that one, it's 12 to 18 months time frame. So somewhere in 25 to the early 26 is the time frame we are thinking about bringing a major release. But having said that, if we make a breakthrough and we find a way to get that one done without having a major release, we'll try to get that in the minor release time frame as well. But the goal is to have a major release around this one, which would be somewhere in 25, end of 25, early 26 time. Sorry. 26, not 27. We are no longer in 24. So I'm still in 24 time frame, but no, it's 26 and 27 time frame is the way I would think about it.
Thanks, Ankit. On a related note, we got a question from Ravi. So Ravi is asking, he said, I see that there's a Splunk connector is there a plan to have a DataDock connector? So this might be a really good time to talk to everybody about how to get enhancement requests or product requests into our ideation funnel.
Yeah. The best process to get this one is support at Cleo.com. Okay. Whenever you provide a enhancement request, you can send an email out to them, and that comes as a request to the product team where we kind of evaluate against all the other priorities that we have. DataDock connector is not something we have heard enough and often. So we are going to look at it and see how that does fit in from a priority point of view, and can we use the infrastructure we built even for our Splunk connector and we apply for the other connectors. So to answer the question directly, do we have DataDock connector in our plans? The short answer is no, but I think we can start thinking of from an enhancement, and we see more requests, then we can start prioritizing that in order to include in our roadmap.
Perfect. Thanks, Ankit. All right, this one, I'm hoping we've got folks a little bit more technical than I am. So this is from Mike, and Mike is asking in Harmony 5.8.1 on Linux, will Java still be bundled with the application, or will we be able to upgrade Java independently from the Harmony application? So I'll look for a volunteer to take this one.
Yeah, I believe that should still be bundled. I would have to double check, but I don't think we plan to change that. So yeah, that should still be bundled. I don't think you're able to upgrade it independently at all, unfortunately, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Brian. All right. The next three questions all appear to have a very similar theme. Mr. B. Templeton or Mrs. B. Templeton asks, what is the advantage of upgrading from Harmony to VLTrader? Eric is asking, what is the value to migrate from VLTrader to Harmony? And Mayor is asking, how does Cleo Harmony differ from VLTrader? So maybe this is one where we can go around and get everybody involved to give us one or two things that they think, what are the advantages that come when you migrate to Harmony from VLTrader? And John, why don't we start with you? You need to come off mute. So, John, I'll come back to you. Okay. How about you, Dave?
No, I found my mute button. I'm good.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, well, the main thing is there's a richer set of connectors. So you get more connectivity on Harmony than you do on VLTrader. But there are a bunch of other integration strategies and features that are available in Harmony, APIs, JavaScript actions. So it's just there's a lot of richness in the platform that doesn't exist in VLTrader. I think that's the main driver.
All right, perfect. Dave, Brian, Ankit, anything you guys want to add to what John just shared?
Yeah, I'd say that John hit some of the really key items there, but also, I would say Harmony is kind of better designed for larger scale environments as well. So scaling, load balancing, high availability, things like that. Harmony is going to be a lot better product for that.
Yeah, and I think what we can do here is have a kind of I would say cheat sheet to show you the differences that exist. So we can give you a data sheet to compare and contrast between those two things. But predominantly it's from a scaling point of view, how it's there. The containerization question that also came in this case, hey, is this going to be available for VLTrader? The short answer is no. The containerization is going to be made available for Harmony only in this case, because the majority of these environments have been more complex environments are being configured on the Harmony side. There are more connectors that are out there for, let's say, SharePoint connector and so on. The MQ connector that was launched also was for Harmony. So more of those things are part of how the Harmony is kind of geared towards. You can really scale it. You can build clusters around those things. So that piece is where Harmony kind of start differentiating itself from VLTrader. So when you have a larger kind of an environment need, I would say Harmony is the way to kind of think about from a direction point of view. And from a migration point of view, I think they've covered it. It's not that difficult. We do have a path forward to go from VLTrader to Harmony, and the process will not be that complex to achieve this. But we can certainly share some of those differences in a data sheet with the folks who have asked this question.
Yeah, and I'll just add to everything that the folks just said. In the theme of the 5.8.1 release, two of the Harmony only enhancements that are coming with that next in line version are going to be availability with the Splunk connector. That is a Harmony only capability, as well as new REST APIs for listener services, options, and proxies. So it's not just the richer connectors. There also tend to be more advanced capabilities that we bring into that enterprise grade product that can handle larger scale data movement environments, connection, and volumes. So thanks, everybody. That's great. And let's see, that one's done. All right, next in line. I haven't even previewed this one, so hopefully it's a good one. This is from Mike. Appreciate your comments on patching and changing of pace for security concerns in products. What is Cleo doing to prevent vulnerabilities from getting to production instead of patching after the fact?
So let me talk a little bit about that one because it relates to our whole security development lifecycle. I mean, typically for security things, we do patch them ahead of time. It's unusual that we're closing kind of 0 day in the wild vulnerabilities. The main tool that we use is something called Snyk, SNYK, and it sits on top of our code repository, and it does a bunch of things. The two main things it does are it keeps an inventory of all of the third-party libraries that we use, and it links to the vulnerability databases and lets us know when we need to update a library because there are vulnerabilities in it. And those will be rolled up in these regular patches that we provide. It also has something called a SAST, a source code scanning module that checks for mistakes that our developers might be making, not escaping variables or the taint analysis, data flow analysis. Those are the kinds of things. And it raises an alert if they try to check in something that it suspects might lead to a security vulnerability. And then our security team evaluates that, and then they'll fix it, or we'll say it's a false positive, whatever. So we do all this proactive monitoring just in terms of the build environment. Then on top of that, we run periodic dynamic scans, and so we stand up a copy of the different software, Harmony, VLTrader, LexiCom, and we point an automated scanner at it, and it then looks to see if we've missed something, what it can see. We configure that then according to our published best practices. There's a document that says how to configure it. So we do things like turn off HTTP, configure it for TLS 1.2, the kinds of things that the scanner would typically find. We'll configure it. Now, the software, of course, allows you to lower those standards if you need to for interoperability purposes. We have people who operate environments where they still have software that connects that can't do TLS 1.2, for example. So but we won't configure it that way for the scan. So we configure it up according to our best practices, and we scan it. And if we see anything, then we'll fix that before release. And then we about once a year we have a true penetration test. We contract with a third-party firm that come in and they do a deep dive analysis. So the difference between it's like automated scanning versus real white hat hacker analysis. So we do a lot to try to prevent vulnerabilities from making it out into the release software. Unfortunately, the state of the world is sometimes one gets past you. And as I'm sure you're all aware, and then we have a process then to react and let you know. So in our patching process, then we really want you to have a change control SOP that allows, say, for monthly updates. When we put out patches, as soon as one is generally available, schedule it into your regular rotation and update it just like you might do for your Microsoft Patch Tuesday or whatever. But if there's something that's an emergency in the wild threat, then we'll let you know, and then we want you to invoke an exception SOP and apply a patch immediately. So these regular patches, I don't imagine you put into an exception, go through your regular change control, but do have a change control that says you're going to be patching this thing regularly and the underlying OS regularly, because it's a battlefield out there. We encountered some customers with this recent sort of, over the past few months, folks on old OSs, folks on ancient versions of we call it VersaLex, but it's LexiCom, VLTrader, and Harmony all together. And we're like, you know what, that can't be anymore. Everybody's got to stay current. But again, if we put out a regular patch, there's going to be something in it. We typically don't disclose the details because we don't want to provide a roadmap to the bad guys. If anything is serious enough to warrant a CVE, we will eventually publish a CVE after the patch has been applied. But again, the practice is not to publish those CVEs and those details until everybody's had a chance to apply the patch. So don't feel like we're stonewalling you when we won't give you all the details of what we've exactly fixed. If there's something that's serious, you will see it in the CVE downstream when it's published. So I hope, maybe that's too much information, but I hope that answers your question, Mike.
No, thanks for that, John. I mean, it is thorough, and going back to like not only have we, updated the release index to add better classification around the types of updates and patching that we're providing, but what John just said is, I think, also important, is that we are withholding some of the details in security enhancements so that doesn't get exposed. And we do have a process. If you do want to know exactly what it is that we pushed, you can get that through creating a support ticket, which will then initiate a process that alerts our security team to have a conversation. Okay, so thanks for that. Okay, and let's see.
Dylan, I see one question. Maybe I want to take that one and answer.
Yeah, please do.
Eric asked us, can you speak more to the hybrid cloud plans? Okay. So let me kind of give you the context of why this is important and critical, right? So when we talk from Cleo has both offerings, right? Private cloud and cloud offerings, okay? And as part of our cloud offering, one of the way we kind of bring the ground to cloud connectivity is the concept called ground agent. And when that agent is kind of establishing the connection, you get the entire visibility of all the transactions that's flowing through your system. And you can look at the entire end-to-end business processes of what exactly is happening with them. Now, there is a parallel to that one in terms of what happens. There is an agent or like a Harmony, VLTrader, or LexiCom kind of exists in a way which can establish that ground to cloud connectivity. And our intent is to think about that, you bring the similar kind of where you keep the existing infrastructure as is, and we be able to kind of consume that into our SaaS offering or cloud offering. And that way you can get your existing infrastructure remains as is, but you get the full visibility of everything that's happening, so you can take right actions and look at running the business that way. So that's kind of really the direction we are thinking from in a hybrid cloud perspective. Again, these are in the initial stages of our discussion or brainstorming, but that's the direction we are kind of thinking about the hybrid cloud would look like.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ankit. I'm just looking. So folks, I'll invite my co-hosts here to go through the questions. There's quite a few that we have yet to answer. So if you see one that you want to answer, why don't we just start jumping in just like Ankit did? Okay.
I can take the one from Anil, Dylan.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
Anil is asking, we're using Cleo AS2 products currently on Linux. Now we've got a few customers asking for AS4. Which we came to know is present in only Harmony. So can we integrate AS2 and Harmony on the same server? So yeah, I mean the most logical thing will be to upgrade to Harmony, which supports all of the protocols. You can import your existing configuration for AS2 and then you'd have a single server offering both protocols. So yeah, perfectly feasible. And then maybe I'll take David Franklin's question as well while we're here, since it's the next one down. We currently use VLTrader on premise with Extol on our AS400. What is the plans for Extol? Is there an end of life planned for Extol anytime in the near future? So that's the EEI product, the old Extol integrator, Extol EDI integrator on the I series. No plans to end of life currently, so we continue to support through the upgrades of the I series operating systems. In the foreseeable future, we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, just to add to that one, what Dave said, we
Yeah.
just recently certified the version 7R5 for this one operating system. So that will be there. It's done. I think 5 to 6 months ago we did an announcement. In case you are not aware of it. So yes, to Dave's point, yes, we are continuing maintaining, managing the AS400 with proper kind of upgrades where necessary.
All right, thanks. Brian, I'm going to give you one. This
Okay.
is from Bala, and it's about some of the capability and functionality within the Cleo Harmony product. So Bala is asking, does Harmony have the option within the dashboard to view transactions in the category of mailbox level or protocol level? And so yeah, why don't we try that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, yeah, I believe both. And correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it should have both in there.
Okay. All right, great. That's good. So again, Harmony offers, detailed visibility at various levels, including the mailbox or protocol level. And glad to hear that is something that's supported through that product. All
I
right.
did see another one that I thought I could take a quick stab at.
Sure.
It's from Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous here. We plan on using the GCS connector in Harmony and have thousands of small file transfers in an hour. Are there performance concerns we should be aware of with the GCS connector for a large amount of file transfers? How is the connector framework built to scale to handle large amounts of data transfers? Well, we do have an awful lot of big customers using a lot of our different connectors. This product is built to scale to large amounts of transactions pretty quickly. We do things like multi-threading, load balancing. There's a lot of work that goes into making sure that we're able to handle the large amounts of file transfers pretty well and pretty quickly. If there are specific concerns or you're seeing specific slowdowns or issues, I just recommend reaching out to support. But thousands of small file transfers an hour doesn't seem too scary, depending on, I guess, the definition of small file transfers, right? So, we are built to scale though. So I would say if you have problems, reach out to support. But otherwise, I don't see a huge concern there.
Yeah, and I think there was one question from Jim talking about archiving to and from AWS S3 buckets. So we'll need to evaluate this, Jim. I think that's a valid request. We'll need to figure out where it will sit in the plan and see how we can get that one done if it's not already available. I'm not sure why we don't have it, but we can evaluate and see how we can bring that one to allow you to archive files. So something for us to look into. So we'll get back to you with what the options there could be.
Great. Thanks, Brian and Ankit on that one. Okay.
Real quick one from Robertus over here. Yes, Harmony will support FIPS 140-3 on Linux.
Okay. Thanks for that one. That's an easy one, Brian.
Quick one.
Yeah. All right. And again, folks, please don't be shy. Drop your questions in, and we'll continue to cover as many as we can during the about 10 minutes or so we have left for the Q&A portion of the webinar. So
maybe John, I don't know if you looked at Theory's question, but that might be one for you to talk about.
So this is the question: can Harmony receive AS2 inbound from EDI partner and directly FTP? The answer is yes, it can. So there is a facility to stream the content so that it'll push it straight through to SFTP. Of course, when you do that, if that SFTP goes offline, then the AS2 inbound transfer will fail. But that's okay. That's the trade-off that you make, because it won't function then in the store and forward mode. But that is possible. And I forget the exact name of the feature. It's some kind of there's a way to connect a mailbox, pass-through mailbox.
It's kind of like a pipe feature from one to the other, right?
Yeah, it's like a piping thing. VLPipe, right? Maybe that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find the details, and maybe I can post it in the reply.
Great.
One from Jeff Edbauer, if I'm saying that right, asking if there are plans to release minor patches of Harmony with the latest version of OpenJDK. No specific plans, but that is a good point of feedback, so I will take that back to the group. Because I think that makes sense that you shouldn't have to continually manually update it every time if it's not in the latest version. So I will definitely take that back as feedback.
All right, great. And it looks like Meyer just popped in with a question. Are there any connectors available for uploading and downloading files from SharePoint as well as GCP buckets? So, Brian, why don't you take this one as well?
Okay, yeah. So we do have both SharePoint and Google Cloud GCS connectors. They're both available for Harmony. So if you are a Harmony customer, you'll have access to both of those.
Yeah, and we do see a lot of customers kind of utilizing some of these modern cloud-based storage systems as a way to enact modern B2B transfer, right? So instead of utilizing like a file server, an SMB, or a file share, you're using like an S3 bucket, a Google Cloud storage bucket, even a SharePoint as a way to create a common environment to send and receive business documents, files, and other information with their B2B ecosystem. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really kind of impactful ways to modernize, file transfer environments by adding on these cloud-based connector capabilities to your Harmony product.
And yeah, Mayor, that's correct. It's available for Harmony, but not VLTrader.
So we had another, well, I guess more of a suggestion and a question from an anonymous attendee relating to support bundle uploads.
Yeah.
Requesting that we have a more permanent link for those uploads. So we can certainly feed that back through to our support team as a suggestion to find a more standard way to do that. So that's good feedback.
It's a more durable way. I mean, again, it's a security trade-off. We moved away from a more statically provisioned host and to something with shorter-term credentials based on our SharePoint, and that was a compliance move, really. So, but I've heard that request before. We can try to find a more durable way, but we are mindful of not just leaving credentialed ways to inject data into the Cleo infrastructure that are open forever. So, I don't know. We'll twist the arm of our ISO 27001 auditors and get something.
There we go.
But I mean, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw this one out to the group here, but I'm going to add a little bit of context at the top. So Ngauda just asked, is there a native method to monitor clarify queues and send a notification email when there is a hung process? So folks, Cleo Clarify is also part of our private cloud edition of Cleo Integration Cloud. Principally, Cleo Clarify is used as a data transformation and integration solution, but it does integrate with our data movement products so that you can cover, sending and receiving of data as well as that data transformation and integration. I'm hoping this is relevant and it's for somebody that is using both of these products, but I'll throw that out to the group as well. Is there a native method to monitor clarify queues and send a notification email when there is a hung process?
I think we might need to defer that to our Clarify specialists.
You know
Dylan.
what?
So
All right, a teaser for next week.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
we will follow up with you offline once we've brought in the right folks to answer that question. So thank you. Well, it does look like the number of questions have slowed down a little bit. So if there aren't any more coming in live, I think we can transition to some of the last content that we came here to talk to you guys about. So just give me 1 second and I will reshare my screen. So that concludes the Q&A portion of the webinar. And so I want to just talk to everybody about 4 of our pathways that we have for folks, whether you're a LexiCom, VLTrader, or Harmony customer. There are different ways in which you can think about digital transformation and modernization. Starting on the left, we are doing a special promotion for CIC Gateway. We are offering this to the first 50 customers that engage and start with us. I'm not going to give you the full details, but if you want to know more, please reach out to customer success at Cleo to start that conversation and learn more about the promotion for LexiCom to CIC Gateway migration. And again, that is, I'll tell you, it's going to be active until the end of March, but it is only available to the first 50 customers that reach out to us. Secondly, as Ankit mentioned, in our product vision, in the short term, one of the big innovations we're bringing to Cleo Harmony is the ability to containerize it. This is super essential if you have like a DevOps, capability within your organization. It is a major efficiency driver and a way to modernize your Harmony capability. We are looking for beta customers to take part in getting this program up and running as part of that short-term innovation and release. So again, if you do have interest in working with our products organization directly with folks like Ankit and Brian and myself, please do touch base with Cleo or customer success, the email at the bottom of the slide. Finally, there's ways in which you can, look to, add to your overall capability. And, this is where you may have Harmony, VLTrader, or LexiCom today, but you're looking to add a data transformation or a web form capability. So this is where you have the ability to leverage aspects of Cleo Integration Cloud to handle data transformation integration. And then you also have the ability to think about adding a supplier portal or fulfillment portal alongside of these products. So again, if you have any interest in learning more about these solutions or talking to us about either the promotion or the beta customer program, please touch base with customer success at Cleo, and we'll make sure that your request gets routed to the right people. And interesting that the last question was on Clarify. If you are a customer on the line today that has Cleo Clarify, we do have an upcoming major release of Cleo Clarify, and we are going to do a similar style of webinar next Thursday, March 20th at 12 p.m. Central. And this is going to be to preview the Cleo Clarify 6 release. Again, this is a major release, so there's a lot to talk about, a lot to preview, and a lot of exciting innovation coming to that product. Similar to what we did today, we will also be giving you guys a glimpse at our long-term product vision. So again, would invite you to come back and join us, but we will also have our Cleo Clarify experts in tow for that session. And then this came up on as one of the questions today during the webinar is, can you please share sales contact information? So everyone, thank you so much for your time today. I want to thank my co-hosts, Dave, John, Brian, and Ankit. And again, if you do have more questions, don't be afraid to reach out to Cleo. If you have product enhancement requests, we'd love to hear about them. And thank you so much for your time today. Great questions and a really fun session.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everyone.